Okay, guys, I know I've covered AI girlfriends in the past, but it's worth revisiting because now they're talking about AI boyfriends. And you'll notice this huge contrast in the societal attitude towards these two, right? When guys go with AI girlfriends, it's bad for society. When girls go with AI boyfriends, it's just women making their choices, making their own life choices. And that's good. See? And we'll get into this like Chinese girl who's with a boyfriend. And you'll note that in China, there is a big glut of single men due to the one-child policy of the past. So these women are rejecting men when they have all the choice in the world, right? Now, just to compare, this is how they see AI girlfriends. Are AI girlfriends going to ruin a generation of men? That's one. Look how they see AI boyfriends. A surprising case for AI boyfriends, right? Totally different attitudes, right? Now, before we get into watching any of these videos, I want to show this paragraph here I found on Yahoo, right? Where it says, I'll read this paragraphs. He said, now we're facing a future where guys can get addicted to emotional validation elsewhere. See, this is the worrying part of it, right? When men get their emotional needs met, it's considered an addiction, right? They don't consider it addiction when women do it. And it's the fact that it's elsewhere. It's out of the hands of real women because real women don't even like men. They just want control. They want the ability to reject the man, right? Sneaking away for some of that unparalleled devotion. See, devotion is bad when men do it. Worse, what about young boys who grew up with this, whose first sexual experience is chatting with an AI woman who never say no, never argue, never have original thoughts or identity of their own? Guys, if you want a girl with no original thoughts, then you don't need an AI girlfriend. You can get that from the real thing, okay? And then they tried to date a real girl. There's already all these men on Reddit raving about how AI girlfriends never argue, complain, or get bored of them, while real girls continually disappoint. This is the same argument that this woman will use, right? In here, they'll argue these same things, but it's put in a positive spin. Now, here's the real important part of this article right here, where the man calls out the double standards. He puts everything I would want to say in this video in a nutshell. It's a combination of the wonderful women are wonderful effect, which goes doubly when it comes to sexuality, and the universal lack of giving a shit about problems that men face. Men's sexuality is dangerous and unnecessary. Women's sexuality is moral and precious. To say that women's sexuality is causing a social problem is absolutely unacceptable in establishment cultural spaces. True, and you'll say that it's not put in a bad light in this article, or I shouldn't say article, in this segment, right? The other side is that nobody cares about men's problems. In this case, the problem is that men's standards will be distorted by AI girlfriends, which is bad for women. See, right? We cannot say that women's standards will be distorted by AI boyfriends because women's standards are always appropriate and pure, and women will always deserve what they demand. Exactly. When women have standards, it's considered appropriate, right? Men having standards is you just can't deal with a real girl. We cannot say that women's AI boyfriends will cause loneliness amongst real men because if a man can't perform well enough to attract a woman, then his suffering is entirely his own fault. And the responsibility is nobody else's concern. Thank you. This guy just put it, everything I want to say in this video in this paragraph, right? Now, we'll get into these news segments about AI girlfriends or boyfriends, I should say.
In China, more and more young people are opting for so-called AI boyfriends.
Say girls, man. It's not men who are choosing them.
Why? Well, here's Sophia Petitza to explain.
Wang is a 22-year-old student. She says her boyfriend has everything she could ask for in a romantic partner.
This is a very pretty girl. She could pick up a guy in a heartbeat. So this is the difference. When men go for it, it's because it's a last resort. When women do it, it's because it's a choice. Okay?
Except he's not real. He's a chatbot on an app.
For me, he plays a more important role than a real person. A real person cannot be with you at any given time of day, but my AI boyfriend can.
So this is important. This is what happens in real relationships. A woman seeks a man, not for himself, but for a workhorse to go out and work and provide her lifestyle. And so he's always working and he's never around. See? So this is the
He's
solution.
given me a lot of emotional comfort.
Wang is not alone. A growing number of women in China are resorting to so-called AI boyfriends.
Okay, see, and they're using the word resorting, but they're not resorting. They're choosing. Men are resorting, right? Men want relationships. Women don't give a shit, right? And it's a growing number, which shows you that women never wanted to be with men. Remember, again, there's a glut of single men in China. All these women have all the choice in the world. They're just not interested.
So what makes them more desirable than humans?
Dating in real life can consume a lot of energy, and everyone is different, which can lead to conflict and fighting.
There you go. So she's saying relationships are work. And therefore, it's all right that I can abandon them. Remember, if a guy complains, they'll look at him and say relationships are work, right? And you just have to put up with all the labor, right?
With AI, I can set it up to meet my preference. So why should I choose a real person?
Those are completely valid arguments. But again, when men choose these things, choose this option, we're called losers. Yet, this is at worst a very neutral take at what this woman is doing. She's very upbeat when she's saying it. No one is saying anything negative about it.
The fast pace of life in big cities like Beijing.
Okay, I'm not going to go any further. They're just going to make excuses why this young lady is choosing AI over real men. Now, we'll get into this segment and we'll go right to humans versus chatbots. And you'll see, again, these women say the exact same thing, that men are work, they don't have to deal with them, and it's all shown in a positive light.
So interesting, because that's different than how, like, in a relationship between two humans, ideally, you both have a choice as to whether or not you want to be in the relationship. But when you're in a relationship with a being that you have complete control over and that you can replace, ultimately, your intent is a little different.
Yeah, your intent is a little different. Very neutral. Yeah, she admits you're in a relationship with someone you have complete control over, right? That's not a bad thing when women do it.
Yeah, I hear you. It's interesting. I think that still is the reason why I think so many women tended to flock to these AI partners, because
so many women flock to it. Right. Women want to be in complete control, right? And have the entity revolve around them 100%, nobody else.
Because they, in many cases, had human relationships, and they didn't want the baggage. They didn't want to deal with the kids, the family.
This is interesting too. When the guy's talking about AI girlfriends, they're talking about strictly relationships with women. She says they don't like human relationships, family and friends and children. Women do not like children. They do not want to have to deal with people and their baggage. Baggage means that the other person wants something out of the deal. That's what the baggage is. And they don't 100% agree with them, right? So remember what she's saying when some guy comes to you and says, have you ever dealt with a real girl? You say, show them this clip here.
They didn't want to deal with the abuse, like the difficult interactions.
Right.
Okay, so women consider difficult interactions abuse. And that's what men should be saying about their relationships with women. Because it is, right? The difficulties that women face with men is that men aren't their complete 100% servants. The difficulty men deal with women is that women are unnecessarily difficult.
Right.
The bad news. And I think one of the main criticisms of chatbots is that it takes like the raw human part of being in a relationship out of the equation. These girls had had enough of that. You know what I mean?
She's big slap. These women have had enough of that, of these raw experiences. Have you ever talked to a real man? Yes, and they're just not good enough for me. You go, girl.
And one of them told me she was happily retired from human relationships. Like she'd had enough. I really couldn't fault her for that. But I do want to be clear that
He's not going to falter for that. See, if you get your AI girlfriend, you're a loser who can't deal with the real world and real women. But women choose, AI boyfriends over even their family and friends and children. That's understandable. And I support her. There you go, guys. I don't think I'm going to go any further with this and make the video any longer than it needs to be. You see what's going on here. It's the attitude difference between when men and women do anything, right? So I'll go put everything in the description box, and you guys can listen to this at your leisure. Thank you. Thank you again for exposing what society thinks of men and women. Men bad, women good, period.